Well, I'm here with Dr. Amy Overlin, and we have a lot that we wanted to talk about today. I know it's snowboarding season. We both were talking off camera. You know, you wanted to bring your boots, and I wanted to bring in your helmet and goggles and all that stuff, and we both forgot. But that's okay. We know that's the topic we're going to get into today. But before we do that, we're here at Banner Sports Medicine. You obviously play a large role here. Could you explain a little bit about what you do here at Banner and maybe what led you here in your career?
Sure. So I am a primary care sports medicine physician, which essentially is someone who does a residency in family medicine and then a sports medicine fellowship. So I'm subspecialty trained, and I have over 20 years of experience of working with the athletic population at all levels, including recreational through professional. And my role is kind of two parts. One is injury prevention in athletes, and then the second big component is diagnosis and care of athletes or general population who just happen to have a musculoskeletal injury, taking care of their injury, and then interval follow-up to get them back to the activities that they wish to do in their lives.
So in general, so you've worked with, a wide scope of athletes. I think injury prevention seems like it's talked about more, in specialty athletes, professional athletes, college, high school, people that are playing an organized sport.
Yep.
I don't know if it's talked about as much in your average weekend warrior, somebody that's going to go up to the Snow Bowl this weekend and snowboard, or someone playing pickleball, or going to play basketball at the gym every once in a while. How important is it for just the average person that wants to do stuff like that to focus a little bit on injury prevention?
I think it's actually even more important. Because if you're more of a weekend warrior, your body may not be as well conditioned to the activity you want to do. And so you are just as likely, if not more, to sustain an injury while performing that said activity, like you said, pickleball or skiing or whatnot. So if your muscles, tendons are not appropriately conditioned and you go do a new activity, you are likely to injure something that maybe that conditioned athlete wouldn't have undergone. So although they're doing more hours and performing at a higher level, their body is better trained to adapt to that load.
Right, it's the same thing. I mean, I played baseball growing up, and a couple weeks ago, the Diamondbacks had some media members out to take batting practice, and you used to be able to take, hundreds of swings a day, no problem. Now you go a couple rounds of batting practice.
Exactly.
Next couple of days, the obliques are sore, the forearms are sore. You're like, oh gosh, really? It's like this? But when you're doing it every day, your body adapts, right?
Exactly. Like the first time someone goes in the gym and lifts, they're like, oh my God, I can't walk today. My legs are so sore. But then by, week 4, they've continued to improve their fitness. They're like, oh, I'm a little sore today, but I feel pretty good and I'm feeling stronger. So you haven't been on the slopes or on a board in a year, and the first time you go out and you go gangbusters, you're going to feel it tomorrow, and you may not have the most positive experience that you were hoping for that day. So prepping and working into that sport is important.
So now getting specifically into snowboarding and skiing and the winter sports like that, especially everyone up here heading up north, what is there like a, checklist or things that somebody should look into doing before going out there for the first time?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One, making sure your equipment's safe. So if you need to get your board or your skis tuned up, if you need your bindings adjusted to make sure they're that appropriate tension, because if you lose weight or gain weight, that changes, are critical things to do even before you leave. And then personally, from a physical standpoint, most common ski injuries, knee. ACL is the dreaded thing, but knee injuries are super common. Snowboarding, it's ankle, because their boots are soft versus ski boots that are hard. So when we look at basic forces from physics, the weak point in a skier when you have a tight, hard shell boot is your knee, and the weak point in the boarder is going to be their ankles. So ankle fractures and borders. So activities that are going to strengthen the legs and also work on balance. So easy things in the gym, body weight squats, lunges in multiple directions, and then adding like ballistic exercises to that, meaning jumping. So a squat with a jump, a lunge with a jump, moving side to side so that you're kind of activating those same muscles you're going to activate from a lower extremity standpoint on the hill.
So with that, I mean, when you're talking about it, I feel like there's almost two categories of people. There's the person that loves to go skiing and snowboarding when the season's here. They're, in the gym a few days a week, so they're kind of training for it, but not really. And then there's those that are just, they don't train for anything, but they enjoy doing that, and that's okay too, obviously.
Yes.
So for someone that maybe isn't as active outside of a sport like that where they're passionate about it this time of year, what should they do to just, again, make sure that they're going to be all right?
Yeah, I mean, besides like doing some basic home exercises that you can do that are body weight, you can add some basic core things in because your core controls your balance. So a plank hold, or just standing on one foot while you brush your teeth to work your balance. And then when you go out to the hill, like the first day, don't plan to go from first chair to last chair. Like take time and build up. Maybe plan to ski a half a day or take a really long lunch break in between. Well hydrate. You get dehydrated up on the hill. Don't drink adult beverages till after the end of your day because you want to be in control on the hill. And there's many injuries that occur from an out of control skier or boarder hitting someone lower on the hill. So you want your mind sharp and you want good reaction time. So if you're recreational or advanced, keep your mind healthy too and make sure that you're doing the right things for everybody on the hill.
So we're kind of maybe doubling down on that a little bit then. What are some of the injuries you see? I know you mentioned the knee being very common, accidents like that happening. What are the ways that you're constantly seeing people come in with snowboarding or skiing injuries?
Yeah, so less experienced boarders and skiers tend to get wrist injuries, right? Because they're falling a lot. So everyone wants to catch themselves with their hands, and that's our natural reaction, better than your face, but you come in with a broken wrist. So one of the things you can do is wear wrist guards when you're first learning, especially boarders. Wrist guards, kids, adults, doesn't matter. Other things, wearing your helmet, right? So there is a higher risk actually in boarders than skiers of head injuries, kind of for the similar reason. Feet are planted, you can't move a foot to help yourself balance. So if you fall, you're going probably backwards. So wearing a helmet prevents high-grade traumatic brain injuries like skull fractures, things we die from. It doesn't prevent concussion, but it can reduce severity. So it's critical to bring your helmet and wear it, keeps your head warm. You can make it stylish. You can get different colors. You can wear little fun hats over it. You can stick stickers on it. When my kids were little, every ski hill we would go to, they would get to pick a sticker and decorate their helmet with it. So there's ways to make it fun. And parents should also mirror what they're wanting their kids to do. I traveled with U.S. Ski Team internationally, and every single one of them wears a helmet. Obviously, it's required in racing, but if they're just out training, socially skiing, they have a helmet on. If it's good enough for the pros, it's certainly good enough for us. There should be no ego about wearing that.
I didn't realize that. So you traveled with the U.S. Ski Team. Was that for the Winter Olympics or other events? Or
A couple World Cup events.
Okay.
Very lucky. There's a whole pool of doctors through the United States, and I have some good friends who have worked in athletic training in U.S. Ski, and they kind of dragged me into it, kicking and screaming. I would say I'm a decent recreational skier. I'm not an expert. So as a doc, you need to be able to safely ski whatever they're skiing. So that was my biggest challenge. Don't get an ACL tear as the doctor. But it's really cool to work with them and see how they train and what they do on the hill. And their safety equipment is on point. They don't mess around with that stuff. So us as recreational skiers or even higher level recreational skiers, why are we going to be any different?
I think I might know here the answer just based on how you're saying it, but was that something when you got into this you ever could have imagined you'd be skiing with world-class skiers to help them out medically and all that?
No, I mean, I wanted to work with high-level athletes, so I got into sports medicine because I was a college gymnast, and obviously gymnasts do have a high rate of injury, for better or worse. And so that really fueled my love of medicine. And so I went into sports medicine because I was like, okay, I love gymnastics. I'm super passionate about being competitive and athletic, and I love medicine. So what can I do that combines those two? And sports medicine was it for me. So I always wanted to work with high-level athletes. I started off at ASU as full-time team doc there, and I always really wanted to work with the college population, and that's amazing. But sometimes you get a different opportunity, and this kind of dropped in my lap, and I forced myself to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and grow personally. The medicine's kind of the same wherever you go, but the populations do vary, and it's really fun to be on the hill with them. It's taking your medicine completely outside, which is great. That's what sports med docs like. We like to be on the sidelines of things, and the ski hill or, the terrain park is just another sideline to be on.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, when once I got into sports broadcast, it was the same thing. It was once your athletic career ended because of injuries or whatever, a lot of us, I'd say 80% of sports journalists, sports medicine people, they were athletes, and you want to be around it still. So I totally get that. That's why I ended up here too. Doing work like that with Olympic sports, I have a feeling it's different than, with an NBA team or a college team, just because the funding is different, the way that they have to, almost self-fund themselves, and the way that they train year-round for events that are only, every few years potentially. What's it like when you have that opportunities to train with Olympic teams like that?
Yeah, well, obviously it is different. I think your level of medical care does not change. Mm-hmm. For me, my 8-year-old athlete, my professional athlete, and my 80-year-old athlete all get the same opportunities to get better. And what I'm going to offer them may vary a little bit based off like their personal resources, right? But I'm going to try to treat every single one of them at that elite level care so that you can, regardless of what their goals are, help them reach that. So when you're traveling with the Olympic team, you're right. And in this case, it was World Cup, so it wasn't all Olympics. But there are a very small echelon of these minor sports that are fully funded. So most of the athletes on the team are at least partially funding their training, their travel, whatnot. And I agree, a lot of people don't realize that. Those athletes also are very incredibly thankful. The physicians, majority of physicians that travel with US Ski are actually donating their time to US Ski. So they're very grateful for you being there and providing them high-level care. And so my experience has been that they were very welcoming and appreciative, and it was a really positive experience because they know what you're sacrificing to give them that care. And there's no entitlement. It's like, thank you for being here, and we appreciate you helping us. So it's great.
Absolutely. Well, I think the last thing I have, unless anything else pops in my mind while we're going over this, so for those that are going out to snowboard and ski, I think there's 2 options to maybe end up here. One is to help with an injury prevention program, or 2 is if something does happen and they need to come here. What should they know about, being able to come here for either scenario?
Yeah. So we have a couple things. I think injury prevention, critical. So downstairs in our awesome banner, University Sports Medicine Center, Scottsdale, we have that high performance center. And I know it has been in the press a lot, but that really is a preventative place where people can get individualized programs for whatever sport activity they're trying to do. So that's a great resource. If that's, out of someone's price range, I mean, you can Google programs on the internet. So I don't want people to feel like cost is a challenge for them to be able to do prevention. Mm-hmm. Or you come in for one visit and they design a program for you and you take it home and you work on it yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay. Unfortunately, if you do get injured, obviously you do need to be seen. And the beauty of this place is we take care of everything from age about 7 to, I say 97 because it just sounds good. And it doesn't matter what the acute injury is. And being able to make an appointment, there's typically either a sports medicine physician or an orthopedic surgeon that can see you within 48 hours. We really try to have great access for our patients. In addition, we have a full service concussion center here, which there is only a couple in the Valley, and we have 2 locations of that where concussion is more than just do you have symptoms or not and can you go do sports. There's a lot of dysfunction that occurs with concussion, and not every concussion gets better in 2 weeks. Actually, I would say the majority of what I see doesn't, because if they're coming here, they're probably not better yet. And so we have a tons of resources and tools to retrain their vestibular system or fix their ocular problem or get them school or work accommodations while they're recovering to make sure they fully recover and then can safely get back on the hill. Also, if you do hit your head with your helmet, if there's a dent in it, it's done. You need a new one. And make sure you're checking that it is certified by the North American requirements to make sure your helmet is safe and going to do its job.
Well, I appreciate the time. Definitely learned a lot. You can imagine us putting on our helmets and our goggles right now,
That's
getting ready to
right.
go hit the slopes. We forgot them today, but imagine for us. It's okay.
I cannot wait to get on the slopes. I love getting on my skis at least, 7 to 8 times a year, and it's great that we have Flagstaff so close, and then Sunrise, and if we're really lucky, we get up to some of the bigger resorts in Colorado and Utah. So I hope everyone has a great ski and board season and doesn't have to see us.
Yeah, don't come here unless you absolutely need to,
Yes,
hopefully.
but if you do, we're here.
They're here. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.